Chapter 12 Mad Mr. Melvin. Mr. Melvin was furious. He marched to the office and turned on the school intercom. George Spear and Harold Hutchins! He shouted over the loudspeakers. Meet Mr. Mr. Crump in the school library right now! We have a library, said George. After about 20 minutes of searching, George and Harold finally came across a room they had never seen before. They entered constantly, stepping quietly past rows and rows of the empty bookshelves until they met up with Mr. Melvin. I told you guys to give me a cool name and not to make me look stupid, said Mr. Melvin, screaming, clutching their comic book in his sweaty hand. Oops, said George. I thought you said you give you a stupid name. And not to make you look cool. Yeah, said Harold. It was an honest misunderstanding. Mr. Melvin threw the comic book to the ground, then led George and Harold over to the purple potty. Remember when I had a great idea to build a time machine? Asked Mr. Melvin. Actually, said George, that was my... Well, here it is, said Mr. Melvin. Mr. Melvin erupted triumphantly. And you two smarty pantses are going to test it out for me. Huh? Said Harold. I'm sending you kids back in time to the day before yesterday, said Mr. Melvin said. And you better not return until you gave my Kabinotron 2000. Cool, said George. I've always wanted to travel through time. Mr. Melvin had a great deal of instructions for George and Harold before they left on their journey. Though the instructions were quite boring, it was benefited the boys if they had paid attention instead of switching the letters on a nearby building board. Mr. Melvin spoke away about the workings of the time machine and the popular intricacies of time travel. You must be very careful that nobody could see you on your journey, Mr. Melvin said. If you do, just zap them with my new invention, the Forgetmacallit 2000. This will erase everything in their short-term memory, and they won't remember ever seeing you. Mr. Melvin had also built a fake Kabinotron 2000 to switch up with the real one. Finally, Mr. Melvin gave George and Harold an important warning. Whatever you do, this is very important that you don't use the time machine 2 days in a row. It needs to cool off every other day, or else it might open up an obvious dimensional reality wrap that could destroy the entire planet. George and Harold started laughing at their new message. Hey! At their new message on the bulletin board. Hey! Mr. Melvin shouted. Have you kids heard one word I said? Yeah, said George. We've got to switch the thing with the thingy. And if somebody sees us, said Harold, we'll zap them with the Witchem and Chiggy. Don't worry, we got it, said George. George and Harold stepped into into the purple pie as Mr. Melvin closed the door behind them. Harold set the control for the day before yesterday. Then George pulled the chain. Suddenly, there was a brilliant flash of green light, and the purple pie disappeared.